Good morning, all of you. Yes, so today we'll be starting with the next topic, that is federalism. We are starting with the topic of federalism. What do you mean by federalism? Yes, there is a distribution of power, there is division of power between center and state. And the source of that power is the constitution. Fine, we know that. Now there are two types of government. One is a federal form of government, the other is unitary form of government. So when it comes to unitary form of government, how would we define unitary form of government? Yes. The source is central government. That means the power is centrally concentrated, or all the power is in fact vested. Unitary versus federalism. There is also an idea of confederation. Confederation or co-federation. Yes. So one is unitary form of government. In such a government, the powers, all powers are concentrated in central government. Yes. And if the central government wants, and if they have a regional government, yes, if regional government exists, in that case, the central government or the union government, through delegation or devolution, will give power to the state governments or regional governments. Yes. So in a unitary form of government, this is what happens. All the power happens to be concentrated in the union or in the central government. And if the regional government exists, and if the central government wants, they will give power through delegation. Delegation would basically refer through executive action. Yes. So the executive has taken a decision and they have chosen to give some power, or through devolution. Devolution would be through legislation. They have come out with certain laws and passed away, given the power to the regional government. But at any point of time, yes, but at any point of time, yes, at any point of time, they can roll back, they can take back the powers that they had given to regional government. Yes, UK, for example, is an example of unitary form of government. Yes, this is the feature of unitary form of government, power concentrated in the center, either through devolution or delegation. They can give power to the regional government, and at any point of time, if they want, they can easily take it back. Yes, however, in case of a federalism, we know that the source of power to both center and state is the constitution. Yes, both enjoy or else even if they both enjoy equal status, or even if they do not enjoy equal status, it is very clear, state is not subordinate to center. Center cannot at its own whims and fancies take back power which has been given to the state, because it is not the source of the power. The source of the power is the constitution for both. Yes, that is the reason you find that in case of a federal form of government, the power that has been accorded, given to the state, cannot be really taken back. In fact, both operate as independent entities in their respective domains, in their respective spheres as has been assigned to them under the constitution. खोल ही दीजिए. Fine, so this is about federalism, each acting independently in their respective spheres. Yes, then what is, there is another idea known as confederation or co-federation. Yes, what do we mean by confederation or co-federation? Yes, which form of federalism? Maltese form of federalism. और बताओ. Confederation, theoretically speaking, it is opposite of unitary form of government. Yes, unitary form of government क्या है? So power is concentrated in the center, and it is the center which has given away the power to the state for administrative convenience. Yes, how we can continue. Yes, however, when it comes to confederation, the power is actually concentrated in the state units, and they have chosen to come together for a certain purpose, for general convenience. Yes, to come together and operate as one. But the concentration of power lies in the states, and the states have the right to secede. The states have right, they have, the power is concentrated in state. In states or the regional units, yes, and these states or the regional units have right to secede. This is very, very important. Yes, so you find that power is concentrated in the state and the states have right to secede, which is not the case as far as unitary form or the federal form. Even in a federation, it is considered to be an indestructible union. Both of them are indestructible union. Yes. However, when it comes to confederation or co-federation, it can be destroyed. The states have the right to secede out of a co-federation. Yes, we'll not get into too much of co-federation because we don't see any examples of co-federation presently. Yes, so co-federations have generally been quite rare, and we do not see them as a norm. There are two primary forms of government, that is unitary and federal form of government. Yes, let's write down this much. Yes, write down. Political scientists have classified the governments into unitary form of government, comma, federal form of government, or Yeah, and co-federation or confederation. Co-federation or confederation. Fine. Depending upon the same sentence, depending upon the relation between the national government and the regional government. Regional government. Full stop. First, give a subhead: unitary form of government. Yes. Under unitary form of government, write down all powers in points. All powers are vested in the national government. All powers are vested in the national government. Next point, regional governments, if they exist. Regional governments, if they exist, derive their authority from national government through delegation in bracket executive action action and or devolution, or close the bracket, or devolution in bracket through legislation. Full stop. Next point. But at any point of time, the union can take back the powers given to the regional government. Full stop. Next is federalism or a federal government. Yes, first was unitary form of government. Next is a federal form of government or federalism. Write down. In it, power is distributed between center and the state, full stop. Both, next point, both source their power from the constitution itself. Next point, both operate independently in their respective jurisdiction. Yes, next point. Union cannot uh, union cannot take back the powers of the state next point. State is not subordinate to the union. State is not subordinate to the union. Yes, so the union cannot encroach upon the powers of the state or cannot take away the powers, and the state is not subordinate to the union. Fine. Next, write down co-federation. Co-federation or confederation. Write down, it is opposite of a unitary form of government. It is opposite of a unitary form of government in which power is concentrated in the states which come together for a particular purpose, which come together to form a co-federation for a particular purpose. Yes. Write down next point. In co-federation, states have right to secede. States have right to secede. Right to secede. Full stop. It is unlike the unitary form of government or the federal government, unlike unitary or the federal government, which are examples of indestructible union, which are examples of indestructible union. No, US is not an example of co-federation. US is in fact defined as indestructible union of indestructible states. It is the first country which became a federal country, adopted a federal form of government. Yes. Yes, however, during civil war, है ना, वहाँ पे the southern states had formed a co-federation for a short period of time. है ना, वैसे ही USSR, there also 4 Soviets had formed a co-federation. See, we are not going to get into too much detail of it. Presently, no, है ना, there is no current example. Somebody has asked, EU, is it an example of confederation? No. EU is also not an example. It is a supranational organization. वो अलग चीज है ना, वो कोई एक यूनिट, एक कोई गवर्नमेंट नहीं है, कोई एक कंट्री को एडमिनिस्टर करने का सिस्टम नहीं है. इट इज अ रीजनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, है ना. EU इज अ रीजनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन रिप्रेजेंटिंग द यूरोपियन कॉन्टिनेंट, एंड it is an endeavor towards moving towards supranationalism. इसका मतलब क्या है? Nationalism is the highest level of identity. Generally, we might identify ourselves as Gujaratis, Marathis, है ना, Tamils, whatever it might be. But the largest form of identity, when you go outside India, you tend to identify yourself as Indians. Yes? So nationalism is generally your the highest your highest source of identity and your highest obligation lies to your nation. Yes, but in case of EU, there is an aim to develop an identity beyond your national identity, develop a European identity, a regional identity, so as to ensure peace and security in the European continent. So EU is an example of a regional organization or a supranational organization. Okay? So that is different. Presently there are no such examples. I just wanted you to be aware of this idea of confederation or federation, where the states have right to secede. The power is concentrated in the states. They have just come together to serve a purpose, and the power is concentrated in them. Whenever they want, they can move out of a confederation. On the other hand, unitary form of government or federalism are examples of indestructible union. Fine, so that is the idea. Fine, there's a long question by Astha. Let me take up that question. I hope you have understood unitary, federalism and confederation. It's a long question. Let's take that up. Yes, there are 3 parts to the question as well. Astha says, ma'am, is equal opportunity not a feature of socialism? Why and how? ठीक है, अभी तक हमने इन चीज़ों पे ज़्यादा बात नहीं करी है क्योंकि सोशलिज्म, लिबरलिज्म ये हमारे डोमेन में नहीं आता है ना. वी आर हियर टू स्टडी प्री फाउंडेशन कोर्स ऑन पॉलिटी. यस, तो पूरा पॉलिटी भी नहीं, प्री फाउंडेशन पढ़ रहे हैं पॉलिटी का भी. Yes, so generally we do not want to confuse, but since she has asked and these two are common phrases, ठीक है, तो there are different schools of thought. ठीक है, क्या होता है? There are different schools of thought. The 2 most prominent schools of thought that you all must be aware or must have heard sometime. One is liberalism, the other is socialism. Yes, liberalism इसका origin capitalism की तरह हुआ था. Yes, so you find that during Cold War the world was divided into 2 camps. US has generally been the upholder, the flag bearer of liberalism or capitalism. On the other hand, former USSR was a flag bearer of socialism. आज के दिन Chinese state है ना, continues to be a communist state, तो वहाँ पे भी socialism का idea है. Now, both these schools of thought, they have certain primary values. Liberalism का primary value क्या है? Liberty. They emphasize on liberty, freedom, absence of restraint, absence of constraint. ये इनका primary value है. इनका primary value क्या है? Equality. Yes. However, this is not to say, we are saying primary values. We are not saying the only value. So it is not that liberalism does not appreciate equality. Equality, they consider it to be important. लेकिन सबसे important क्या है? Liberty. Similarly, ऐसा नहीं है कि socialism liberty पे emphasize नहीं करता है. In fact, they have tried to distinguish their idea of liberty from liberalism's idea of liberty by calling it freedom. Yes, so they also emphasize on it. ठीक है, तो both schools, इनका primary values जो भी हो, they will also recognize and appreciate the importance of other values. Fine. Now, when it comes to socialism, they emphasize on this idea of equality. See, if at any point you do not understand, please stop me and ask me. But अब equality तो बहुत बड़ा concept है. What exactly in equality they are talking about, and what exactly in equality, because her question is only about equality of opportunity, है ना? So we'll come to that only. We'll just discuss equality. So what exactly in equality they are emphasizing upon? When they talk about equality, they want equal distribution of resources amongst the people. Socialism का यही idea था कि equal society में equality होनी चाहिए. Everybody should be equal to the other. Equal distribution of resources. Yes, क्योंकि if you remember, socialism came out in context of capitalism. It was a reaction to capitalism, है ना? Capitalism had become very, very exploitative. there was division of the society into the high class, who were the wealthy class, who held most of the wealth, and rest of the population was very, very poor. So it is in this context this man called Karl Marx came out with the idea of socialism and communism. तो सोशलिज्म का आइडिया क्या है? ऑपोजिट वो बोलेंगे. उन्होंने कहा कि कैपिटलिज्म में क्या इनइक्वालिटी है, सो दे वांट टू एस्टैब्लिश इक्वालिटी. अब इक्वालिटी को अगर हम क्लियरली डिफाइन करें उनके लिए तो इट मींस इक्वालिटी ऑफ आउटकम. Yes, they want everybody should have equal wealth, equal resources, equal income, whatever it is. There should be complete equality in the society. है ना? There should not be huge disparity. Fine. Now liberalism, they also emphasize on this idea of equality. ऐसा नहीं है कि they are ignorant of the importance of equality. But what kind of equality? They are talking कि outcome equal होना चाहिए ताकि society में inequality ना हो. There is no polarization, no division of class, classlessness. है ना? Their emphasis is on classlessness. Yes, yes, classlessness. Now यहाँ पे इन लोग भी इक्वालिटी पे एम्फसाइज कर रहे हैं, लेकिन अब ये कैसी इक्वालिटी के बारे में बात करेंगे? ये बात करते हैं इक्वालिटी ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी. यस, this is the idea of, in fact, meritocracy. Yes, can you appreciate? In US is a liberal world का flag bearer है वो तो. US is recognized as a meritocratic society. Yes, everybody has equal opportunity. If you have talent, you will succeed. US का attractiveness ही यही है, land of opportunity. That it says that whosoever has talent, whosoever has caliber will succeed in US. US is a land of opportunity. Land of opportunity का मतलब क्या है? Equality of opportunity. Yes, everybody has equal opportunity. If you have the caliber, please go ahead and do well in your field. Yes, but on the other hand, for example, India में caste division है. Yes, so certain people are restricted to perform only certain type of jobs. Yes, so we say at times that the caste division of the Indian society prevents equality of opportunity. Yes, the untouchables or the Harijans are expected to do only a certain type of jobs. Yes, and previously जब strict caste classification था एक समय पे society का, तो the Kshatriyas would only be participating in wars. Yes, so there was complete distribution है ना caste wise. तो यही है यहाँ पे equality of opportunity, because equality of opportunity gives you a sense of liberty. Equality of opportunity is rooted in liberty. You have liberty to do what you want. So socialism does not talk about equality of opportunity. Socialism talks about equality of outcome. Liberalism talks about equality of opportunity. Yes, I hope Astha this must help you. Yes, fine. So is equality of opportunity not a feature of socialism? Why and how? Equality of opportunity is generally associated with liberty. ऐसे नहीं कहेंगे कि बिल्कुल नहीं है वहां पे इक्वालिटी ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी, बिकॉज अगर इक्वालिटी पे एम्फसाइज है तो यस देयर माइट अराइज इक्वालिटी ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी. If everybody is equal, equality of opportunity might arise in the society. You might be free to do whatever you want. But equality of opportunity as a concept is primarily the concept used by liberal world, and socialism emphasizes कि end result में equality आनी चाहिए. Equality of outcome पे emphasis है. Fine? Yes? कि गवर्नमेंट ने देखो एक तो सोसाइटी को चेंज होने में समय लगता है ना, तो गवर्नमेंट ने किया है अनटचेबिलिटी का प्रैक्टिस बैन किया है ना. अंडर आर्टिकल 16 एवरीबडी इज गिवन इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी टू पब्लिक एम्प्लॉयमेंट. Everybody, irrespective of your caste, religion, race, gender, can seek public employment. So we find we have banned untouchability. So the government has taken such actions. यहाँ पे यूनिवर्सल एडल्ट फ्रेंचाइज है. सो जेंडर के बेसिस पे आप वोट नहीं करते. कास्ट के बेसिस पे वोटिंग, मतलब यू आर नॉट रिस्ट्रिक्टेड टू वोट. योर वोट वैल्यू इज नॉट काउंटेड बेस्ड ऑन योर कास्ट. योर वेल्थ डज नॉट make a difference to your vote value. Everybody, one person is equal to one vote and universal adult franchise. So these are some steps taken by the government to ensure that we rise above these social divisions. ठीक है. देखो, कास्ट के बेसिस पे ही इंडियंस ने वोट किया है हमेशा. ठीक है, तो हमने तो कास्ट, इनफैक्ट हम कहते हैं कि दिस इज वन ऑफ द रीजंस फॉर सक्सेस ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी. ठीक है, ये सब हम बाद में पढ़ेंगे कि डेमोक्रेसी के जो भी कंडीशंस थे इंडिया में, डेमोक्रेसी का जो थियरी है वो कहता है अगर डेमोक्रेसी को सक्सेसफुल होना है, इफ डेमोक्रेसी हैज टू बी सक्सेसफुल देन पीपल शुड बी एजुकेटेड. बट एट द टाइम ऑफ इंडियाज इंडिपेंडेंस, forget about education, the literacy level stood at 17%. Yes, so we were literate, matlab bas ability to read and write for 17% of the population. 83% of the population could not even read and write their name. Yes, but still we adopted democracy. Yes, theory of democracy says there should be wealthy class in the society will generally support democracy. Yes, you should have richness, but we were in extremely poor nation, death ridden at that point of time. Yes, so whatever conditions are given by the theory of democracy, India does not satisfy any. But still India adopted democracy, and surprisingly democracy has not survived in other developing countries, other post-colonial societies. अपने चारों तरफ देखो, पाकिस्तान में सर्वाइव किया नहीं, नेपाल में बहुत लेट, अभी 2008 में वो डेमोक्रेसी बने हैं, उससे पहले वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोनार्की थे. वहां पे भी उन्होंने मल्टी पार्टी सिस्टम डेमोक्रेसी लेकर आए, पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी, फिर रोल बैक कर लिया उनके किंग ने, है ना, और बहुत इनस्टेबल रहे हैं. भूटान में ओनली रिसेंटली, मालदीव्स में, Sri Lanka is also one such country which has generally been successful in terms of democracy. There has been no military rule in Sri Lanka. लेकिन श्रीलंका के डेमोक्रेसी में बहुत प्रॉब्लम है. उन्होंने चेंज किया अपना फॉर्म. They started as a parliamentary democracy and they have become an executive presidency democracy. मतलब प्रेसिडेंट में बहुत कंसंट्रेट कर लिया पावर थ्रू अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट, और आज के दिन जरूरत है कि दे गो बैक टू पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी. ठीक है, बांग्लादेश में you find nowhere in the world, generally speaking, democracy has survived. And we discuss कि हमारे यहाँ ऐसा क्या खास था जो हमारे यहाँ democracy survive कर गई despite not having any precondition needed for survival of democracy. One factor we identify is that we were very lucky to have a leadership at that point, at the point of time of India's independence, which believed in creating structures and did not believe in personal aggrandizement. पावर कंसंट्रेशन खुद में नहीं करते थे, स्ट्रक्चर बिल्ड करते थे, एंड देयरफॉर डेमोक्रेसी हैज सर्वाइव्ड. एंड सेकंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रीजन, द सोशल स्ट्रक्चर, casteization of politics in India is also identified as the reason for success, because we were illiterate people. We do not understand. हम हर कुछ नहीं समझ सकते. डेमोक्रेसी इज, है ना, गवर्नमेंट क्या कर रही है हमें नहीं समझ में आता. आज के दिन भी whatever the government is doing, can we really understand and appreciate it? The common man, you and I, maybe to an extent we can, but the common man, majority of India's population still cannot. So the easiest way to mobilize them to seek their vote is religion, is caste. Talk about creation of mandirs and mosques. Yes, so that is how you get votes. ठीक है, तो यही है मेजॉरिटी, है ना. रिलीजियस सेंटिमेंट्स को यूज करो, कास्ट सेंटिमेंट्स को यूज करो, बट दैट हैज बीन एबल टू गेट पीपल आउट ऑन टू द स्ट्रीट टू वोट, एंड वी हैव हैड देयर डेमोक्रेसी हैज सर्वाइव्ड. तो वो अलग कंसेप्ट. देखो देखो वन पार्टी रूल अलग एक दूसरा कंसेप्ट है. वन पार्टी रूल तो हमने पहले भी देखा है ना, जब इंडिया हैड बिकम इंडिपेंडेंट तो कांग्रेस का वन पार्टी रूल चलता था. दैट वाज द मोस्ट डोमिनेंट पॉलिटिकल पार्टी. ठीक है, तो वो एक चीज अलग है. बट उन्होंने है ना, यू लेट द ओपोजिशन सर्वाइव, यू डू नॉट, है ना, यू डू नॉट क्रिटिसाइज द ओपोजिशन इनटू इररेलेवेंस. लेकिन अभी क्या है, ऑफ कोर्स सी थिंग्स हैपन एंड थिंग्स चेंज, है ना, ये इवॉल्विंग है, इवॉल्विंग नेचर है. इंडियन डेमोक्रेसी, द पार्टी सिस्टम हैज इवॉल्व. पहले वन पार्टी था टिल 1967, फिर रीजनल पार्टीज आए, फिर कोalition फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट आया, फिर से अभी वन पार्टी डोमिनेंस चल रहा है. बट नाउ सी थिंग्स कैन हैपन. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को अमेंड करो, चीजें बदल जाएंगी. यस, इफ द पार्टी हैज एक्स्ट्रॉर्डनरी मेजोरिटी in the parliament, they can get their will. So it is about the wisdom of the voters, है ना. इसीलिए तो वोटर्स का वाइज होना बहुत जरूरी है. और इनफैक्ट इसीलिए जनरली डेमोक्रेसी को क्रिटिसाइज किया है. जो ये थिंकर्स थे, प्लेटो, सोक्रेटिस, दे वर अगेंस्ट डेमोक्रेसी. विंस्टन चर्चिल का भी स्टेटमेंट है, डेमोक्रेसी इज द वर्स्ट फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट टिल वी फाइंड अ बेटर फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट. क्योंकि डेमोक्रेसी का प्रॉब्लम क्या है, ये मोबोक्रेसी में टर्न हो जाती है. टू मच पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ कॉमन मैन इन अ डेमोक्रेसी इज नॉट गुड. पीपल, बिकॉज नॉट एवरीबडी कैन रियली अंडरस्टैंड एवरीथिंग, है ना. सो वी कैन नॉट बी द ट्रू जज, है ना. जबकि हम पॉपुलर सोवरेनिटी, पीपल पावर, एम्पावरमेंट ऑफ पीपल, वेलफेयर स्टेट, सब पीपल का ही बात हो रहा है. बट स्टिल देन टू मच पार्टिसिपेशन, बिकॉज मोबोक्रेसी जब हो जाएगी, मोबोक्रेसी मतलब क्या है, वी स्टार्ट बिहेविंग लाइक अ मॉब. मॉब मतलब इंडिविजुअल जजमेंट भूल जाते हैं. हर्ड मेंटालिटी, व्हाट इज एवरीबडी डूइंग, विल जस्ट गो एंड डू दैट. सो इवन इन योर सराउंडिंग, है ना, इवन इन योर extended family, in your neighborhood, you will find such people. They will go to vote, but do we in fact do we evaluate कि इस हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्युएंसी से ये लोग खड़े हुए हैं और इन सबका बैकग्राउंड क्या है. डू वी ऑल्सो चेक बिफोर वोटिंग? नो, वी जस्ट वोट. यस, हाँ ठीक है, कुछ आइडिया ले लिया, हाँ दिस पार्टी इज व्हाट वी वांट, है ना, दिस पार्टी इज डूइंग गुड, सो लेट अस वोट फॉर दिस पर्सन. तो हम भी तो वही करते हैं, तो जनरल पॉपुलेशन भी वही करता है. यस, देखो जरूरी नहीं है कि हर स्टेट ये फिलॉसफीज फॉलो करे, है ना. इंडियन स्टेट पर से हम ज्यादा फिलॉसफीज नहीं फॉलो करते, बट येस दे टेल यू अ वे ऑफ लाइफ कि आपको कैसे अपना लाइफ को ऑर्गेनाइज करना है. Yes, liberalism will tell you a way of life कि liberty must be prioritized, give freedom to the people, है ना. The role of the government should not be to intervene in the lives, private lives of the people. So of course, है ना, this is a way they tell us how to organize our lives. They tell us what should be the relation between the state and the common people. Yes. एंड वी कैन अडॉप्ट अ मिक्स ऑफ दीज स्कूल्स, है ना. तो जैसे इंडिया ने हम ना प्योर, हमारा टिल्ट लिबरलिज्म की टूवर्ड्स ही है, बट इनिशियल ईयर्स में हमने कुछ सोशलिस्ट एलिमेंट्स भी अडॉप्ट किए थे. इस वजह से फॉर एग्जांपल वी वर अ मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी, पब्लिक एंड प्राइवेट सेक्टर बोथ पार्टिसिपेशन. आईआर में भी आता है और वैसे भी आता है. अगर पॉल साइंस जिनका ऑप्शनल होगा वो पढ़ेंगे, है ना. सो फाइन, फाइन. सो एक तो क्वेश्चन, द रेस्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन आई थिंक सो द सेकेंड पार्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन वॉज कि इफ अ कंट्री इज अ रिपब्लिक, देर वॉज दिस रिलेशन शी हैड आस्क्ड बिटवीन अ रिपब्लिक एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल डेमोक्रेसी. यस, रिपब्लिक का मतलब क्या है? Yes, the head of the state is elected by people. Common people can get elected, है ना. It is not hereditary. Yes, it is not hereditary. the common masses can get themselves elected as the head of the state. If we stand in the election, people vote, whatever the process is, we can become the head of the state. So we are a republic. So India is a republic, US is a republic. Yes. Now the question is, and what do you mean by constitutional democracy? A democracy based on rule of law. Yes. So basically constitutional democracy का emphasis है rule of law. Rule of law, democracy based on rule of law. Rule of law का source क्या है? Constitution. तो ये जो गवर्नमेंट होगी जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल डेमोक्रेसी के थ्रू एस्टैब्लिश्ड है, दैट वुड बी अ लिमिटेड गवर्नमेंट, क्योंकि इसके पास अनलिमिटेड पावर नहीं है. द पावर इज चेक्ड बाय द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. जितना पावर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन देगा उतना ही होगा. Yes, so generally speaking, yes, constitutional democracies tend to be republic, but not necessarily. For example, UK, इसका exception बताओ. ये constitutional monarchy है ना, यहाँ ये रिपब्लिक नहीं है. Yes, but is it there prevails rule of law? There is limited government. यहाँ पे unwritten constitution है, लेकिन constitution तो है. Constitutional government है, constitutional democracy है. Yes, so it is not necessary that always constitutional democracy has to be republic. Neither is it necessary that republic will always be a constitutional democracy. है ना, republic है लेकिन concentration of power कर लिया है ना, and they keep getting re-elected. है ना, तो we need to understand them है ना in their crux. ठीक है, तो वी फाइंड कि जरूरी नहीं है कि एवरी रिपब्लिक और एवरी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल डेमोक्रेसी हैज टू बी अ रिपब्लिक एंड वाइसा वर्सा. यस, समझ में आ गया. और द थर्ड क्वेश्चन दैट शी हैड पुट वाज Ankita, what was the third question that she has put, if you can just what is the head of the state is president? Yes. What is the difference among democracy, liberal democracy and constitutional democracy? Democracy, liberal democracy and constitutional democracy. क्या है इनका डिफरेंस? पहले इनको डिफाइन करते जाओ. डेमोक्रेसी इज rule of the people, by the people, for the people. है ना, the government of the people, by the people and for the people. Yes, this is democracy as such. Constitutional democracy, rule of law is very very important here. है ना, यहाँ पे limited government है. लिबरल डेमोक्रेसी, यहाँ पे लिबर्टी पे बहुत ज्यादा एम्फेसिस है. लिबर्टी ऑफ द पीपल इज एम्फेसाइज्ड. लिबर्टी मतलब फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन. यस, सो द पीपल कैन क्रिटिसाइज, कैन फ्रीली क्रिटिसाइज द गवर्नमेंट. इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी दैट वी अग्री बाय ईच एंड एवरी पॉलिसी ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट. जरूरी है नहीं. गवर्नमेंट के मेड ऑफ ह्यूमन बींग्स, भगवान तो नहीं है, गलती हो सकती है उनसे भी, है ना. So it is okay, we can criticize and everybody has the right to opinion. So they might be right, but I might think them to be wrong, so I might criticize them. So you find freedom of speech and expression. Liberty is also expressed in the right to vote. Right to vote matlab my right to vote actually matters. I truly get to elect the government. People through vote genuinely elect the government. What has happened in Pakistan? Did the people of Pakistan actually get the right to elect their government? No. Yes, it was the army which intervened, है ना. Poll rigging भी किया, है ना. Counting is also doubtful, है ना. So you find that people of Pakistan did not actually, though they voted, but they did not get the actual right to choose their government. Yes, so that is the idea. अभी liberal democracy में freedom of speech and expression, मीडिया शुड बी, फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन का मतलब क्या, मीडिया शुड बी फ्री टू राइट एंड क्रिटिसाइज द गवर्नमेंट. यस, द लॉज ऑफ, जैसे हमने लास्ट क्लास में बोला था, सेडिशन शुड नॉट बी मिसयूज्ड टू कर्ब द वॉइसेस ऑफ द पीपल. सो दैट इज लिबरल डेमोक्रेसी. तो जनरली देयर इज अ लिंक, जहां पे रूल ऑफ लॉ होगा वहां पे लिबरल डेमोक्रेसी अधिकतर होगी. यस, बिकॉज रूल ऑफ लॉ limits the government and gives liberty to the people. Yes, limiting the government will automatically give liberty to the people. So there is generally a link, but in there, अगर हम हर का मतलब समझें तो इसका मतलब यही है. लिबरल डेमोक्रेसी में लिबर्टी पे एम्फेसिस है. लिबर्टी मतलब फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन, एंड यू जेन्युइनली गेट द राइट टू चूज योर गवर्नमेंट. यस, द मीडिया इज फ्री. द मीडिया एक्चुअली है ना, actually tells you what is happening and they report genuinely. Yes, and people can form their opinion. We can criticize, we can not agree, we can disagree with the government. All those are features of liberal democracy. So India, India we say is a liberal democracy, है ना. India has generally been a liberal democracy. We are a constitutional democracy. Yes, but not necessarily all democracies need not be liberal and constitutional. And for example, we say China is a pseudo democracy. वहाँ पे भी तो लोग वोट करते हैं, वहाँ पे भी तो इलेक्शंस होते हैं हर 5 साल में नेशनल असेंबली का. साउथ कोरिया इज अ डेमोक्रेसी, इट्स अ लिबरल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. नॉर्थ कोरिया में कोई डेमोक्रेसी नहीं है. यस, तो साउथ कोरिया तो बिल्कुल लिबरल एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल डेमोक्रेसी है. Japan is a liberal and a constitutional democracy. US is a liberal and a constitutional. France, Germany, all these countries, है ना. But you find that countries like China, Russia में भी elections होते हैं. Yes, so you find that these countries are not true democracies. Every country wants to showcase itself as a democracy, but not necessarily that they are true democracies. रशिया में वैसे भी पुतिन ही है. 2000 से पुतिन आए, उसके बाद पुतिन कभी गए ही नहीं. वहां पे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लिमिट था. प्रेसिडेंट, अ पर्सन कैन बी इलेक्टेड टू द प्रेसिडेंट्स सीट ओनली ट्वाइस. तो फिर एक उनके ही दोस्त थे दिमित्री मेदवेदेव, तो वो उनके साथ चेंज कर लिया उन्होंने. उनको एक बार एक टर्म के लिए प्रेसिडेंट बना दिया, खुद प्राइम मिनिस्टर बन गए, उसके बाद फिर से खुद प्रेसिडेंट ही बना रहे. तो वहां पे ट्रू डेमोक्रेसी नहीं है, वहां पे मैन्युफैक्चर्ड इलेक्शंस होते हैं. यस, नाम के लिए इलेक्शंस होते हैं, द रिजल्ट्स आर प्री डिसाइडेड. सो इज द केस इन चाइना. It is the communist parties people who will stand. There is one party rule, so only communist parties candidates will stand in the election. Yes, so they will only win, and within the party it is decided who will be the leader of the party. The leader of the party decides. The Politburo, जो उसका क्लोज 7 मेंबर का ग्रुप है. Yes, तो ऐसे करके तो अब नेशनल असेंबली के इलेक्शंस तो हो रहे, बट दीज पीपल आर नॉट डिसाइडिंग who will be the leader and who will be the member of the Politburo, कौन एग्जीक्यूटिव बनेगा, कुछ नहीं डिसाइड कर रहे, वो टॉप डाउन चल रहा है. यस, फाइन. पर्सनालिटी कल्ट क्या है? व्हेन अ पर्सन बिकम्स, है ना, सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, है ना, दैट ऑन हिज नेम एवरीथिंग इज डन. तो पर्सनालिटी कल्ट, है ना. कैरिज्मेटिक लीडर्स कैन demonstrate personality cult, but it comes with negative connotation. तो charismatic leader तो नेहरू भी थे, लेकिन personality cult politics नहीं थी उनकी. yes, तो ये negative connotation के साथ आता है कि personality cult, charismatic leaders, concentration of power in one, and in one name the entire politics is conducted.
What if there is a dispute between legislature and executive itself?
हाँ,
There is a case in 1978 that called Sahabanu case, Sahabanu versus Ahmad Shah. So the executive and legislature invade the judicial system.
what देखो, एक तो पार्लियामेंट्री फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट में ऐसा डिस्प्यूट होने का चांसेस बहुत कम है. Legislature and executive are not in dispute. Even in during Shah Bano case, It was Rajiv Gandhi government. Rajiv Gandhi government had extraordinary majority, extraordinary seats in the legislature, है ना. तो हो ही नहीं सकता कि legislature और executive में dispute हो पर से, क्योंकि executive is drawn from the legislature. Executive is the largest party in the legislature. They form the executive in a parliamentary form of government. लेकिन ऐसा हो सकता है कि लेजिस्लेचर या एग्जीक्यूटिव, एग्जीक्यूटिव एंड जुडिशरी के बीच में डिस्प्यूट्स चलते रहे. ठीक है, तो हमने इनफैक्ट पार्लियामेंट्री फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट इसीलिए इंडिया ने चुना, बिकॉज द स्कोप ऑफ कंफ्लिक्ट बिटवीन लेजिस्लेचर एंड एग्जीक्यूटिव इज मिनिमल. हाउएवर इन अ प्रेसिडेंशियल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, जैसे यूएस है, यूएस में ये बहुत कॉमन है ना. यूएस में ये होता रहता है, उनके बीच में डिस्प्यूट्स रहते हैं. इफ द प्रेसिडेंट इज फ्रॉम अ डिफरेंट पॉलिटिकल पार्टी एंड देयर नेशनल है ना, उनका जो हाउस ऑफ रिप्रेजेंटेटिव एंड सेनेट है उसमें अलग पार्टी, पॉलिटिकल पार्टी की मेजोरिटी है, ऑफन देयर इज कन्फ्लिक्ट. अभी यूक्रेनियन वॉर में भी वो कन्फ्लिक्ट दिख रहा है. द प्रेसिडेंट वांट्स टू स्पेंड मनी, assist Ukraine, but the legislature is almost done with it. They are not willing to spend any more money. Yes, so you find such conflict, है ना. Debt ceiling, executive पैसे खर्च कर रहा है, गवर्नमेंट वो प्रोवाइड कर रहा है, और लेजिस्लेचर डेथ सीलिंग सेट करता है कि इतने ही पैसे खर्च करने हैं एक साल में. सो इफ दैट डेथ सीलिंग इज टू बी एक्सीडेड, कन्फ्लिक्ट हो जाता है. कई बार एग्जीक्यूटिव जाके कोई इंटरनेशनल ट्रीटी साइन कराता है, लेजिस्लेचर को बोलता है अब रेटिफाई करो, है ना, बट द लेजिस्लेचर विल रिफ्यूज टू रेटिफाई. तो ऐसे बहुत सारा हो रखा है वहां पे. बट इंडिया के केस में इसीलिए ज्यादा नहीं होता, बिकॉज एग्जीक्यूटिव इज ड्रॉन फ्रॉम द लेजिस्लेचर. बट एनीवेज देयर इज अ स्कोप ऑफ कन्फ्लिक्ट बिटवीन जुडिशरी एंड द एग्जीक्यूटिव, और जुडिशरी एंड द गवर्नमेंट, जुडिशरी एंड द लेजिस्लेचर. इनका जुडिशरी के साथ हो सकता है, तो इनका क्या है, ये एक दूसरे का एक्शंस को कैंसिल करते रहते हैं. तो दैट इज हाउ, है ना, वो जब तक एक कॉमन अंडरस्टैंडिंग पे नहीं पहुंचेंगे तब तक वो करते रहेंगे एक दूसरे के साथ. फॉर एग्जाम्पल विथ रेस्पेक्ट टू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट पावर्स, हमने ये डिस्कस किया था, है ना. और उसके बाद आप फाउंडेशन कोर्स में इसको डिटेल में पढ़ोगे तो 3-4 ऐसे केसेस हुए. 3-4 बार गवर्नमेंट ने अमेंडमेंट लाया, जुडिशरी ने उसको नलिफाई करते गए, वो एक अलग फिर लॉ लेकर आते. इस तरह से ना दे केप्ट ऑन इंटरैक्टिंग अमंग्स देमसेल्व्स until they reached the doctrine of basic structure in Keshwananda Bharti case. Even then the executive was very very unhappy. So जब जुडिशरी, जब उनके CGI को अपॉइंट करने का टाइम आया, क्योंकि एग्जीक्यूटिव के पास पावर था, तो एग्जीक्यूटिव डिड नॉट चूज दोज हु हैड गिवन अ जजमेंट इन फेवर ऑफ बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर डॉक्ट्रिन, तो सुपरसीड किया. तो ये है, ये स्कोप ऑफ कन्फ्लिक्ट है ना. बट दैट इज फाइन, दैट इज हाउ यू एंश्योर कि नोबडी concentrates power in self. थोड़ा तो conflict होगा. Yes, in a society, if we exist in a classroom, if we are there, there is a scope of conflict. So similarly, in a government also there is a scope of conflict. But till the time they are respectful and they continue to follow the process. For example, initial years of India's independence, there was conflict between president and the prime minister. है ना, क्योंकि न्यूली फॉर्म्ड कंट्री था. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में प्रोविजंस मेंशन्ड है, बट उसका एग्जैक्ट इंटरप्रिटेशन क्या है. Dr. Rajendra Prasad interpreted it little differently. Nehru would interpret it little differently. Yes. So there is always scope of conflict, but the way is that you resolve the conflicts following the rule of law. Yes. Do not try to concentrate power in self. Do not try to go for self-aggrandizement. Keep the welfare of people in mind. अगर end goal same है, तो आप कहीं ना कहीं consensus पे आ जाओगे. Fine. So that is the idea. Fine. Khushi says, why is it essential for countries to show them that they are democracies? Because why, you know, democracy, until a better form of government is discovered, this is the best form. दुनिया में सब कोई तो डेमोक्रेसी ही बनना चाहते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि डेमोक्रेसी गिव्स पावर टू द पीपल. डेमोक्रेसी का कोर कंसेप्ट क्या है? गवर्नमेंट ऑफ द पीपल, बाय द पीपल, फॉर द पीपल. इट इज बेसिकली एम्पावरमेंट. इट इज अबाउट एम्पावरमेंट ऑफ द पीपल. इट इज अबाउट पॉपुलर सोवरेनिटी. ठीक है, कंसेप्ट है पॉपुलर सोवरेनिटी. लीगल सोवरेनिटी होती है. सोवरेनिटी मतलब क्या है? द मोस्ट पावरफुल. पॉपुलर मतलब पीपल. In case of a democracy, there exists popular sovereignty. That means people are the most powerful. Democratic governments are accountable to the people. नहीं तो वो next election हार जाएंगे. So you ensure those who have been given power, they are accountable to you. So they will do what is in our betterment. Yes, so that is the reason everybody wants to claim themselves to be democratic, showing that yes, the government is serving the people, the government is working for welfare of the people, empowerment of the people. Fine. Coming back to our topic of federalism, we have diverted sufficiently abhi. ठीक है, यूनिटरी फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, फेडरल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, कॉन्फेडरेशन हमने डिस्कस कर लिया. नेक्स्ट इज व्हाट आर द एसेंशियल फीचर्स ऑफ फेडरलिज्म. What are essential features of federalism? Yes. फर्स्ट एसेंशियल फीचर क्या है? डुअल पॉलिटी. डुअल पॉलिटी मतलब क्या है? यस, गवर्नमेंट एट सेंटर एंड स्टेट, and each deriving the power from the constitution, each independent in their own spheres. None of the government is subordinate to the other. Yes, both enjoy independence in their you can write it down along with me, in their respective spheres. Yes, fine. None is subordinate to the other and both enjoy independence in their respective spheres. Yes. What else? Yes, another important feature is bicameralism. Another important feature of federal form of government is bicameralism. Bicameralism का मतलब क्या है? Two houses in national legislature. Yes, so one house would be representing people, then the second house will represent states. Yes, two houses of parliament, bicameralism आप लिख सकते हो, two houses of parliament, one of them will represent states. इसका पर्पस क्या है? राज्यसभा का प्राइमरी फंक्शन हमने लिखा था लॉ मेकिंग, है ना, और वो एक्सपेक्टेड टू रिप्रेजेंट द स्टेट्स है. यस, सो इन दैट केस बेसिकली इसका पर्पस क्या हुआ? रीजनल एस्पिरेशंस शुड फाइंड अ वॉइस इन नेशनल लॉ मेकिंग. जो नेशनल लेवल पे लॉ बन रहे हैं, दे शुड रिफ्लेक्ट रीजनल एस्पिरेशंस. राइट डाउन, पर्पस लिखो. बाइकैमरलिज्म का पर्पस, रीजनल एस्पिरेशंस should find a voice in national lawmaking. Yes, what else? हाँ, yes, fine, ठीक है. और बताओ. पहले रिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. Fourth is rigidity of the constitution. Yes, written constitution क्यों चाहिए? Written constitution because फेडरेशन क्या है? It is a government in which both center and state enjoy equal power or enjoy independent powers. So there has to be, we generally give this example है ना, एक कि है ना, in a house you have a sibling and your parent has brought a cake. So the cake is to be cut in, the parent has said okay, both of you can eat half of the cake each. Yes, but you eat the cake after dinner. अब क्या हो सकता है, वन ऑफ द सिबलिंग इज लिटिल नॉटी, है ना, बोथ आर ग्रीडी टू ईट द केक एंड so they would want to consume more chunk. Yes, they would want to eat it immediately, not wait till dinner. So there will be a fight between the two siblings. Yes, so how can that fight be avoided? If there is written norms, the parent has written it and stuck it on the fridge refrigerator saying these are the norms, only after dinner, only, and 250 grams and 250 grams each will get to eat, not beyond that. So there has to be a written documentation of the division of power. ठीक है, तो you need that written constitution. It should not happen that the sibling can go and make changes, कि एक sibling गया उसी में उसी ने change कर दिया. So it has to be sufficiently rigid. Yes, so it should not be easily amendable. फिर क्या? Yes, फिर you need इंडिपेंडेंट जुडिशरी. अब इंडिपेंडेंट जुडिशरी क्यों है चाहिए? फिर भी रिटन डॉक्यूमेंटेशन के बाद भी डिस्प्यूट है, उसके बाद भी बोल रहे कि नहीं, दिस इज नॉट फेयर, ही हैड येस्टरडे ऑल्सो ईटन 250 grams, I had not eaten anything, so I need more share. Yes, so you need an independent arbitrator कि वो देखेगा कि किसकी बात सही है और फिर जजमेंट दे, टू इंटरप्रेट द डॉक्यूमेंट की एग्जैक्टली अग्रीमेंट का मतलब क्या है in this circumstance. Yes, so you need an independent judiciary as well. Fine, so these are the features of federalism. Yes, so that way even if you forget in the exam you can remember and recall, otherwise ये इतना basic है, you will always remember. Dual polity, हम generally ये sequence follow करते हैं. Dual polity है ना, there are two siblings, then you have written agreement, then this agreement cannot be easily amended, है ना, एक ही sibling जाके change नहीं कर सकता, और independent arbitrator चाहिए फिर भी dispute arise हुआ तो, and apart from it you need bicameralism. Yes, fine, so these are the essential features of federalism. All of you have written it down. Next would be, does federalism guarantee the success of the government and unity of a country? Give the subhead. Does federalism guarantee unity, लिख लो, guarantee unity of the country, guarantee unity of the country. Does it guarantee unity of the country? But you have examples, है ना, you have examples of, ठीक है, अभिनव is talking about dual system of court, division of public services, है ना, we are, ये बहुत minute differences है जो हम देखते हैं, but these are not considered to be essential features, कि है ना, dual system of court या division of public services, essential features में वही 4-5 features है जो essential माने जाते हैं, ठीक है. Now she said that yes, federalism will guarantee unity of the government, है ना, or unity of the country. But you find that there are examples where there was a federal form of government, but it has not necessarily always succeeded. Yugoslavia has gone for much further balkanization भी, ठीक है, तो हमेशा जरूरी नहीं है. See, but yes, federal form of government compared to a unitary form of government is trying to take into considerations regional aspirations. Yes, while ये इसका आइडिया क्या है फेडरल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट का? इंडेस्ट्रक्टिबल यूनियन. यस, तो इंडेस्ट्रक्टिबल यूनियन, दे आर टेकिंग रीजनल एस्पिरेशंस इनटू कंसिडरेशन while aiming for national unity and security. Yes, so of course it is as such more accommodative. This form of government is more accommodative of regional aspirations. But it does not necessarily guarantee the unity of a country. Yes, unity of the country is determined based on the culture, political culture. है ना, वहां पे कैसे the political parties are operating amongst themselves. Are we really willing to listen to what the people are saying? We are a federal form of a government. India is a federal form of a government. But still then you find, and India has been a federation since the very beginning. लेकिन फिर भी there was this demand for greater Nagaland. है ना, they wanted to become a separate country. Khalistan movement has been there. है ना, अभी भी north eastern states में you have the Bodoland movement. Yes, you have several such movements that continue to go about. So it does not always necessarily guarantee the success. Success is guaranteed by the political culture, the trust amongst the players, and trust amongst the various levels of government, rule of law prevailing. You are willing to be accommodative of genuine interest, while those raising the interest should also keep certain preconditions in mind. For example, India says we are going to accommodate all your regional requests. If you want autonomy for Bodoland, we will give it. You want autonomy for tribal population, we will give it. You want autonomy for, you want your language to be recognized as a national language, fine, we will do it. But your demand should be within the constitutional framework such that it should not threaten the unity and integrity of India. जब तक आपका कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल फ्रेमवर्क में आपका डिमांड है एंड इट डज नॉट थ्रेटन यूनिटी एंड इंटेग्रिटी, वी आर रेडी टू अकोमोडेट द रीजनल एस्पिरेशंस. यस, फाइन. सो इट इज द कल्चर. इफ यू बिकम फेडरल है लेकिन बहुत रिजिड हो गए तो फिर इट विल नॉट सर्वाइव बिकॉज people needs keep on evolving with time. So you have to have a accommodative culture. You would want to have a politics of trust, politics of accommodation to ensure unity and integrity of a country. Write down. Write down. Though federal form of government is more accommodative of regional aspirations, it alone does not guarantee unity of a country. Get? Write down. It love federation. It embraces regional diversity. It embraces regional diversity while giving due importance to national unity. National unity. Full stop. However, adoption of federal form of government is no guarantee of the unity of the country or the success of the government. Yes, write down. It is, next point, it is culture, politics, ideology. It is culture, politics, ideology that determine the actual working of a federation. Write down a culture of trust, a culture of trust. Comma, cooperation, comma, mutual respect, and restrain between the federal units is essential for its success. Is essential for its success. Yes. It is this culture, it is this culture of respect, restraint, cooperation, trust, which ensures success of the government, that the government becomes responsive to the needs of people while ensuring unity and integrity of the country. Historical background of federalism. Yeah, of federalism. Yes, what is the historical background of federation? लिखते जाओ and I'll explain it simultaneously. The word federation is derived from the Latin term fidus. Latin term fidus. It is derived from the Latin term fidus, which means treaty or an contract. Treaty or an contract. Yes, full stop. Write down, thus federation is a form of government. Thus federation is a form of government formed through a treaty or an agreement between the various units. Yes. दुनिया में फर्स्ट फेडरेशन का एग्जाम्पल यूएस. राइट डाउन नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. यूएस इज द वर्ल्ड्स फर्स्ट फेडरेशन. Write down, it was formed in 1787 following the American Revolution. Yes. It comprises 50 states, है ना. Presently it comprises 50 states. As such, it comprised 13 colonies. उसके बाद है ना, later on they got in more states and we find the present US created because of it. It comprises 50 states. Yes. लिखो, next point लिखो. Thus it is often considered as the model of federation, as the ideal model of federation. Thus it is often considered as the ideal model of federation. ठीक है. तो अभी यही है कि fetus means treaty and it is a government formed through treaty amongst the various unit, and first such government formed was US, and therefore it is considered as the model federation. Yes. However, when we look at US is is what is known as coming together type of federation. Yes, it is coming together type of federation. इसका मतलब क्या है? Basically the states pre-existed formation of US. ये states पहले ही exist करते थे, बाद में इन्होंने realize किया it makes economic, political, security sense if we can pool our resources, come together under a single banner. So individual states which existed, which enjoyed whatever sovereignty they did, they decided to come together to form the United States of America. So it is an example of coming together federation. But all federations in the world are not coming together federation. There is also the example of India. India started from an independent country known as India. Once India became independent, yes, we were one geographical unit, one political entity as such. ठीक है? So later on India decided, let us divide, let us create states for better administration, for meeting the regional aspirations of the people. Yes, so India is an example of holding together federation. यहाँ पे क्या हुआ? We started from a unified country and that then the country was divided into states. है ना? तो इस वजह से हमारे यहाँ तो स्टेट रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन भी हो रखा है. देयर वाज नो ऐसा कोई फिक्स्ड बॉर्डर्स ऑफ द स्टेट नहीं था. यूएस इज एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ indestructible union of indestructible states. Yes, but India is an example of indestructible union of destructible states. Yes, that means the borders, the integrity of the state is not guaranteed. Yes, so we find in 1957 we had undertaken a state reorganization. है ना? जब हमारा इंडिपेंडेंस हुआ तो वी क्रिएटेड 4 कैटेगरीज, पार्ट ए स्टेट, पार्ट बी, पार्ट सी, पार्ट डी. फिर उसके बाद हमने स्टेट रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन, पीपल रेज डिमांड कि हमें लिंग्विस्टिक डिवीजन ऑफ स्टेट्स चाहिए, लिंग्विस्टिक बेसिस पे स्टेट्स क्रिएट करो. फिर द इंडियन गवर्नमेंट क्रिएटेड लिंग्विस्टिक डिवीजन ऑफ स्टेट्स. तो यू हैव गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र, तमिलनाडु, आंध्र प्रदेश, है ना, यू हैव केरला, है ना. इस तरह से states got established. Karnataka, yes, states got established. Later on in early 2000 we also felt that certain states are too big for administrative purpose, creating problems. So you find UP, MP and Bihar were divided to create Jharkhand, Uttarakhand and Chhattisgarh. Yes, fine. So you find that the territorial integrity of Indian state is not guaranteed because दे नेवर, ऐसा नहीं था कि उनका इंडिपेंडेंस से पहले या फेडरेशन से पहले कोई इंडिपेंडेंट एग्जिस्टेंस था. होल्डिंग टुगेदर फेडरेशन हैज बीन क्रिएटेड एज अ मैटर ऑफ कन्वीनियंस टू इनफैक्ट रिकंसाइल रीजनल डाइवर्सिटी विथ नेशनल यूनिटी. नेशनल यूनिटी एम्फेसिस है, तो होल्डिंग टुगेदर टू कीप द कंट्री यूनाइटेड we need to recognize the regional aspirations. Therefore, as a matter of convenience, we have chosen to create states, and the states' borders can be easily changed. Yes, but in case of US, independent states who were sovereign, who had a pre-existence, chose to come together. So when they came together, will they give their power of territorial integrity to the state? Yes, states, independent states, and they said, okay, let us form a union, let's give some power to the union for economic sense, for political, for security sense. So when they came together, signed an agreement to create a state union, to create the center, they chose not to give away their power of territorial integrity. Therefore, in case of US, the states are more powerful compared to India. है ना. तो इसीलिए यूएस इज एन indestructible union of indestructible states. States can also not be altered, but here we are a indestructible union but of destructible states. Fine. So this is, इसी में history में ही we are also introducing the idea of coming together federation as well as holding together federation. ठीक है, write down. You have written. It is often considered as an ideal model of federation. Write down. In fact, next point, in fact, US is an example of coming together federation. Coming together federation, underline coming together federation. Coming together federation. Yes, that is, it is an example of independent states coming together to form the United States of America. Yes. It is, next point, it is considered indestructible union of indestructible states. Yes, in single inverted commas, indestructible union of indestructible states. Next point, write down. On the other hand, India is an example of, India was an example of a big unitary state that was converted into a federation by granting autonomy to the provinces. To promote regional interests. Write down. It is an example of holding together federation. Full stop. It reconciles regional diversity with national unity. Write down. It is an indestructible union, in single inverted commas, indestructible union of destructible states. Yes, full stop. Fine. So these are two types of federation. The India is the example of holding together federation. Another such country is Canada. Canada is also an example of holding together federation. Next is yes, Indian Federation. Indian Federation. Yes, under it give the first subhead as reason for adopting federalism in India. Reason for adopting federalism in India. क्या है reason for adopting? Are there? Yes, first reason why we have adopted federal form of government is India's vastness or large size. Point number one. Point number one, vastness or large size of the country. Large size of the country. And it is a too big a country to be governed by one central government. Yes. फिर दूसरा क्या है? Yes, socio-economic, cultural diversity, religious diversity, है ना, religious भी कर लो, linguistic diversity, socio-economic, cultural, religious, linguistic diversity. Yes, we have huge diversity. Yes. To accommodate all that, है ना, to accommodate all this elements of diversity, we are home to all major religions in the world. India recognizes 22 national languages, है ना. We have an official list of language, yes, under Schedule 8. Yeah, so you find that 22 languages are recognized. Beyond that, we have hundreds and hundreds of dialects, hundreds of local languages that are spoken. Yes, there is huge socio-economic, cultural, religious, linguistic diversity. And third reason क्या है? सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर का कंसेप्ट नहीं, सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर की वजह से हमने नहीं अडॉप्ट किया है ना. हमारा रीजन क्या है? क्योंकि हम इतने वास्ट कंट्री है कि हर रीजन का aspirations cannot be met. The central government cannot know what the people of Bodoland are thinking. Yes, what is their cultural way of life. है ना, their way of life के according उनका government होना चाहिए, and that the central government will not be in a position. The government sitting in Delhi does not know what people in Kerala want, what people in Andaman and Nicobar want, what people in Lakshadweep want. Yes, so you need what people in J&K think. Yes, so there is a need for a federal form of government because of the vast size and the socio-economic, cultural, linguistic, religious diversity. And last point is, in fact, to reconcile. Because to reconcile national unity, with regional autonomy. Yes, fine. So these are the reasons why India adopted a federal form of government. Yes, to create a welfare state, है ना. Welfare state क्यों बोल रहे हैं? वही कि vastness of the size, such diversity, for the central government it would not be possible to know what the people in different parts with different cultures, languages want. तो welfare state का मतलब क्या है? What is the aim of a welfare state? To establish a just society, yet to ensure welfare of the people. Welfare of the people मतलब meet their needs, requirements, है ना. Needs and requirements में justice है. Fine. So yes, to establish a welfare state also, है ना. You can write it down. To establish a welfare state. But the primary reason why we have adopted है ना, फेडरलिज्म इज टू रिकंसाइल रीजनल डाइवर्सिटी विथ नेशनल यूनिटी, यही है हमारा आइडिया. प्राइमरी रीजन, इंडियन स्टेट ने कुछ ऐसे आइडियाज अडॉप्ट किए टू एंश्योर, क्योंकि जब इंडिया इंडिपेंडेंट हो रहा था, ब्रिटिशर्स ने 100 साल से कहा था इंडिया इज अ नेशन इन द मेकिंग. इंडिया एक नेशन ही नहीं है. यस, इनफैक्ट वी ऑल्सो अग्रीड, है ना, महात्मा गांधी जी का भी स्टेटमेंट है कि इंडिया कंप्राइजेस मेनी नेशंस. yes, so you find that yes, we were not a nation to begin with. We have huge diversity, huge size. We are a subcontinental size. The size of the country is subcontinental in nature. Before independence we witnessed partition. 1960s, all the political scholars had predicted democracy will not survive and India will undergo balkanization. India बिल्कुल disintegrate हो जाएगा, वो एक country नहीं रहेगा. Yes, so against all such odds, this country called India was getting created. India at the time of creation also, if you look at, we did not just comprise the British provinces. ब्रिटिश प्रोविंसेस थे, फिर कुछ जगह थी जैसे नॉर्थ ईस्ट के ट्राइबल एरियाज जहां पे वो अलग सिस्टम ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन दे यूज टू गिव ऑटोनॉमी टू द ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन लिविंग सराउंडिंग इंडिया. देन देयर वर मोर देन 500 प्रिंसली स्टेट्स, all had to be brought together. So the task of creating India was a Herculean task, and to ensure एक तो ये सब कुछ एक साथ आ जाए, दूसरा that they are able to sustain their unity was a Herculean task. So we adopted certain ideas such as federation. One such idea was federation. To sustain this regional diversity, you cannot undo it. An Indian way of life is we respect diversity. है ना, हम अपने आप को सैलड बोल मॉडल बोलते हैं. यस, वी आर अ मल्टीकल्चरल सोसाइटी. वी बिलीव इन प्लूरलिज्म. वेस्ट में मल्टीकल्चरलिज्म 1970s, 80s, 90s में आया आइडिया. हम तो मल्टीकल्चरल ही थे हमेशा से. यस, सो वी विल नॉट एक्सपेक्ट कि गुजराती अपनी भाषा बोलना बंद कर दे. यस, एवरीबडी स्टार्ट स्पीकिंग ओनली वन लैंग्वेज वाज नेवर द आइडिया. एवरीबडी लेट्स गो ऑफ देयर different religious tilt. Within a religion kitna Jainism and Buddhism are rebel childs of Hinduism. Then within Jainism there are so many sub schools. Yes, so you find that this diversity has been very much a way of Indian life. There's a very nice book known as Argumentative Indian by Amartya Sen. He talks about how freedom of speech and expression was always a way of Indian life. Yes, so we could not expect to undo diversity. We had to accommodate diversity while ensuring integrity of India. So what to do? Indian constitution makers thought, let us create a federal model. Adopt a federal form of government. This will ensure that regional diversity is respected along with ensuring national unity. Yes, और उसमें हमने फिर हम देखेंगे स्ट्रॉन्ग सेंटर, क्योंकि अब फेडरेशन अब यूएस का मॉडल अडॉप्ट करे या कोई और मॉडल अडॉप्ट करे. सो वी चोज कैनेडियन मॉडल ऑफ अ स्ट्रॉन्ग सेंटर. दैट इज द रीजन वी ऑल्सो अडॉप्टेड द आइडिया ऑफ सेक्युलरिज्म फॉर दैट मैटर. One of the primary reasons why the Indian state became a secular state is to ensure national unity. And Indian secularism once again is different from European idea of secularism. European idea is state is indifferent. Religion is a topic of private sphere. आप अपने private sphere में जो करते हो करो, and it should not be discussed in public sphere. But in case of India, we adopted Sarva Dharma Sambhav. Yes, so our idea of secularism was different according to Indian societal needs, but this was once again an idea that we adopted to ensure national unity. Yes, so the ultimate idea why we adopt the model of federation, because the vastness administratively possible नहीं है इतने बड़े देश को administer करना. Yes, in fact it is said if UP were an independent country, it would be the 5th largest country with, है ना, 5th largest population होता दुनिया में उसका. Yes, it is such a huge state to be administered. Yes, then you have socio-economic, cultural, religious diversity, and ultimately to reconcile all this diversity and vastness while ensuring national unity. Fine. So this is the reason why we have adopted federation. Democratic participation and balancing of power. Balancing of power का किसके में balance of power? तो वो स्टेट क्रिएट ही क्यों किया ना, बैलेंस ऑफ पावर करने का जरूरत ही क्यों सोचा, है ना. डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टिसिपेशन, यस, इट गिव्स ग्रेटर स्कोप ऑफ डेमोक्रेटिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन. आप स्टेट लेवल पे भी वोट कर रहे हो और आप सेंटर लेवल पे भी वोट कर रहे हो. एंड इंडियन वोटर्स हैव बीन फाउंड टू बी वेरी मैच्योर. आज के दिन हम स्टेट लेवल पे अलग पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को चूज करते हैं, सेंटर पे अलग को चूज करते हैं. यस, सो यस, इट इंक्रीजेस द स्कोप ऑफ डेमोक्रेटिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन. लेकिन डेमोक्रेटिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन का पर्पस क्या है, कि हमारा जो रीजनल डिमांड्स है वो मीट हो जाए. ठीक है, तो इस कंटेक्स्ट में फाइन. फाइन फाइन, देन यू वांट टू टेक अ ब्रेक, वील टेक अ 5 minutes break and then we'll continue. Fine. Starting once again. So we have discussed reason for adopting federalism in India. Achha, federalism under India, we have discussed the reason for adopting. We'll also briefly discuss the historical background. लिखो subhead historical background. Historical background. है ना, इंडिया का हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड क्या है. राइट डाउन द डिबेट, पुट अ हाइफन, द डिबेट on what kind of federalism should India adopt. Yes, हमने अब ये डिसाइड कर लिया था कि हमें फेडरल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट. India, because of the vastness of size, diversity and need to ensure unity, we decided we are going to form a federal form of government. But now the question arose in the Constituent Assembly and amongst those who were involved in government formation, that what is the kind of federation that we should adopt. How much power should we give to center? How much power we should give to the states? Because we as a country never blindly replicated the West. We always thought what is our unique need, and according to our need we'll have to adopt a form of government. So now there was consensus on federation, but question arose, how much power to be given to the center? So there was a debate and discussion going on in the Constituent Assembly and also prior to that, that how much power should we give to the center. So initially, initially when Pakistan was expected to be part of India, yes, so we started, the Constituent Assembly was formulated based on something known as the Cabinet Mission. ठीक है, तो ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट ने एक कैबिनेट मिशन भेजा था, उन्होंने एक प्रपोजल दिया कि इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिया ऐसा दिखना चाहिए. Yes, so that time there was a demand by the Muslim League to form a separate country known as Pakistan, but that had not yet been agreed upon. So in context of this demand, when we thought what kind of a federal model should India adopt, we at that point thought, to accommodate the demands of the Muslim League, let us make states more powerful. Let's give more power to the states, because there will be some Muslim majority states, and through that, and if there is more power to the state, then in that context they will be able to go for their self-determination. इंडिपेंडेंट कंट्री क्यों फॉर्म होती है? बिकॉज यू वॉन्ट टू अंडरटेक सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन. सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन मतलब क्या है? आई टेक डिसीजन फॉर माई ओन सेल्फ. Yes, I want to join US camp. I want to join the USSR camp when the world was bipolar. I want to support Russia in the Russia-Ukraine war, or should I want to support Ukraine? The economic policies. Do I want to become a free market economy, or do I want to be a closed economy? Yes, whatever decision relates to self, I should be in a position to take a decision on it. That is what we mean by self-determination. So whenever regions, whenever groups, countries, constituents, whatever it is, whenever they demand creation of a separate state, the basis is they want the right to self-determination. तो अब हम मुस्लिम लीग की डिमांड को अकोमोडेट करने के लिए इनिशियली इंडिया थॉट let us create a federal model in which maximum powers will be given to the states, and the central government will have power only over 3 subjects. Which were those 3 subjects? Foreign and defense policy, communication and currency. So there will be a national currency, communication पे central government का control रहेगा, plus with respect to foreign and defense policy, rest all subjects matters will be passed on to the state, and the states will be very very powerful. So we had agreed on that, है ना, कि हम वैसा कुछ करेंगे. फिर but later on partition, June 1947, Lord Mountbatten accepted the partition plan. He put forward that plan in the UK's in UK's parliament, and it was passed. So once the partition of India is finalized, we changed the model of federation. Then we got to thinking, now what should we do? Because we were creating a federal model with concentration of the power in the states, so as to accommodate the aspirations of the Muslim League. But now the Muslim League is gone, they are creating an independent state of Pakistan. So now what kind of a model of federation should we adopt? And at that point of time, we chose a model in which center would be more powerful. We chose a model in which national unity would be guaranteed, because having suffered a partition, national unity was the issue that enjoyed primacy. हम चाहते थे कि India remains a unified country. We should not come to see further disintegration of India. Therefore, India chose to adopt the model that we have presently, with a strong center at the center. We have adopted Canadian model of federation. Yes, let's write down. Yes, so historical perspective, and the question on the extent of power that center should enjoy in the form of in Indian federation. तो उसमें लिखो in the view, in points लिखो, in the view of the agitation, in the view of the agitation by the Muslim League, comma, the cabinet mission plan proposed a model of federation in line with the US. In line with the US. Full stop. Maximum power would be given to the states, while the center will have power only on 3 subjects. While the center will have power only on 3 subjects, namely defense and foreign affairs. Subpoint A, defense and foreign affairs. Second subpoint, communication. And third, currency. Yes. Next point. But once partition of India was finalized, partition of India was finalized, the Constituent Assembly decided to adopt the model of federation with a strong center. Thus, while recognizing diversity, comma, India chose to emphasize the unity of the country. Chose to emphasize unity of the country. Yes. Write down next point. There are two types of federation. Yes. The first type of federation is known as dual polity or dual federation, and the other is known as cooperative federation. Yes, there are two types of federation, dual polity or cooperative federation. US in 1787 adopted dual polity type of federation, while India has adopted cooperative federation. Yes. So what do we mean by dual polity type of federation? In which there is a strict division of power between center and state, so much so that they act as watertight compartments. Center and state are completely different entities with no much scope of interaction. Yes, there is not much interaction. They act as watertight compartments, each very, very independent in their own respective spheres. Yes, so that is dual polity, each very independent in their own respective spheres, but cooperative, as the name suggests, cooperation between center and state, है ना? तो यहाँ पे क्या है? The emphasis is on interdependence. India decided to inculcate interdependence between center and state. तो हमने कोई watertight compartments were not created between center and state, है ना? हमारे यहाँ ज़्यादा emphasis क्या था? Interdependence का promotion करो between center and state. So much so that interdependence कहाँ दिखता है? For example, majority of the financial resources have been given to the center, and majority of the administrative functions have been given to the state. So now if the state is to meet the administrative functions, it is dependent on the center for finances, and the center might come out with central schemes, but it is dependent on the state for its implementation. Yes, so rather than taking a structural view of federation, we adopted or we emphasized on the functional aspect of federation, where there is separation of power. The center cannot invade in the sphere of state, state cannot invade in the sphere of center. The center cannot take away power that has been given to the state. Yes, state is not subordinate to the center, but then they are both working to ensure welfare of the people, because they understand ultimate goal of any type of form of government is welfare. So we have gone for a functional aspect, we have emphasized on the functional aspect of federation while inculcating interdependence. They are both working towards the larger goal of welfare of the people. Okay, so this is, India is an example of cooperative federation, whereas US, और देखो फेडरल मॉडल ना, फेडरेशन वैक्यूम में क्रिएट नहीं हुआ है, सोसाइटी में क्रिएट हुआ है. तो इंडिया भी पहले शायद हम भी डुअल पॉलिटी बनते, हमारे यहाँ भी वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेट्स होते एंड वेरी वीक सेंटर होता. बट देन एज द कंडीशन चेंज्ड, वंस पार्टीशन हैपेंड, हमने इस पे शिफ्ट कर लिया. तो यूएस में भी हम देखते हैं कि जब इन्होंने फेडरेशन अडॉप्ट किया था, दे वर अ डुअल पॉलिटी, बट स्लोली एंड स्टेडली दे आर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स कोऑपरेटिव. they are moving towards a point where center's power is increasing. जैसे जैसे global power of US increased, as US became a global power, you find that the power of the center started increasing in US. So we say it is a dynamic concept which evolves with changing time. ठीक है, बट एनीवेज अभी हमें ये पता है कि वी आर अ एग्जाम्पल ऑफ कोऑपरेटिव फेडरलिज्म, वेयर एज यूएस स्टार्टेड एज अ डुअल पॉलिटी. यस, लेट्स राइट इट डाउन. ठीक है, तो डुअल पॉलिटी लिख के हाइफन दो, डुअल पॉलिटी हाइफन, write down, in it both center and state are independent in their respective spheres. They are two watertight compartments. They are two watertight compartments in theory. Without much scope for interaction. Cooperative federation, it emphasizes on interdependence. Between center and state. Cooperative federation emphasizes on interdependence between center and state. Yes, write down. For example, states in India perform majority of the administrative functions but are dependent on center for finances. Full stop. Similarly, the union is dependent on the state, the union is dependent on the states for implementation of its policies. Implementation of its policies. Yes, write down. इसी में cooperative federalism, it emphasizes on the functional aspect of federation. It emphasizes on the functional aspect of federation with the aim to achieve a welfare of the people. With the aim to achieve a welfare of the people. Yes? Fine. So, there are two types of federation, and we are cooperative federation, which emphasizes on a strong center as such. है ना, इसका इसमें ये भी लिख लो, it emphasizes on a strong center. है ना, it emphasizes on strong center. ठीक है, we also know we are holding together type of federation, unlike US, which is coming together type of federation. Yes, fine. लिखो, ये नेक्स्ट सबहेड की तरह लिखो. However, the Constitution of India, ये सीधा लिखो, Constitution of India does not mention the word federation. Indian Constitution does not actually mention the word federation. Yes. Article 1 of the Indian Constitution says India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. Shall be a union of states. Write down Article 1. Article 1 reads India, that is Bharat, shall be union of states. तो इंडिया ने अपने आप को ऐसे क्यों डिफाइन किया है, शैल बी अ यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स? हमने ये क्यों नहीं कहा कि इंडिया, दैट इज भारत, इज अ फेडरेशन ऑफ स्टेट्स, बट वी सेड वी आर अ यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स. व्हाई? The reason has been given by B.R. Ambedkar. In the Constituent Assembly, he clarified why are we not using the word federation, rather using the word union of states. Yes, he said because the states in India do not have the right to secede. They do not have the right to secede. लिखो, the reason has been given by B.R. Ambedkar. है ना? Reasons have been given by B.R. Ambedkar. Point number 1, because states in case of India do not have the right to secede. States in India do not have the right to secede. Yes, and second reason, unlike US, India is, second reason उन्होंने जो दिया, unlike US, India is an indestructible union. Yes, India is an indestructible union of destructible states. Yes, fine. Fine. So therefore, in fact, the Indian Constitution does not mention the word federation. Yes, we have adopted federalism. In fact, with a strong center, we have gone for cooperative federalism. All that we have already explained. Now, why is it that we adopted a federalism with a strong center? Unity, है ना, to emphasize, to reconcile diversity with unity and emphasize on unity of India, है ना, to give primacy to or to reconcile. लिखो federalism with a strong center. India has adopted federalism with a strong center. With strong center. Reason. Reason. रीजन क्या है? टू रिकंसाइल डाइवर्सिटी विथ यूनिटी. टू रिकंसाइल डाइवर्सिटी विथ यूनिटी. टू प्रायोरिटाइज, इसी में लिखो सेमी कोलोन, टू प्रायोरिटाइज यूनिटी एंड इंटेग्रिटी ऑफ इंडिया. Unity and integrity of India. Fine. There is a question by Kaushik Anand. He says, ma'am, is there any country having federation of destructible union of indestructible states? क्या क्वेश्चन है उसका? वो पूछ रहा है कि हमने पढ़ा दो टाइप, इंडेस्ट्रक्टिबल यूनियन ऑफ इंडेस्ट्रक्टिबल स्टेट्स, इंडेस्ट्रक्टिबल यूनियन ऑफ डेस्ट्रक्टिबल स्टेट्स. लेकिन क्या ऐसा भी कुछ है जो डेस्ट्रक्टिबल यूनियन हो ऑफ इंडेस्ट्रक्टिबल स्टेट्स? ऐसा नहीं है, क्योंकि इन अ फेडरेशन एंड इन अ यूनिटरी फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट स्टेट्स डू नॉट हैव द राइट टू सेसीड. फेडरेशन एंड यूनिटरी फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट एम्फसाइज ऑन इंडेस्ट्रक्टिबल यूनियन. सिर्फ वो कॉन्फेडरेशन का फीचर है, विच इज कॉन्फेडरेशन इज अ डिस्ट्रक्टिबल यूनियन. वहां पे स्टेट्स हैव राइट टू सेसीड. तो ऐसा कोई भी फेडरेशन नहीं है विच इज अ डिस्ट्रक्टिबल यूनियन. यस, फाइन. नेक्स्ट क्या है इसमें? एविडेंसेस. राइट डाउन एविडेंसेस. यस, but is China a federation? China is not a federation. और वो अलग चीज है. इंडियन स्टेट इज अ फेडरेशन. वी आर एन इंडेस्ट्रक्टिबल यूनियन. इसका मतलब क्या है? हमारा टेरिटोरियल इंटेग्रिटी कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं हो सकता. स्टेट्स डू नॉट हैव द राइट टू सेसीड. इसका मतलब यही है. बट द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इटसेल्फ, आर्टिकल 4 ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन सेज India as an independent country has the right to get territories into the Indian state. In fact, Sikkim at the time of independence was not a part of India. है ना. फिर एक समय आया 1975 में जब वो एसोसिएट स्टेट बना, उसके बाद इट बिकेम अ फुल फ्लेजेड स्टेट. तो बहुत देश हैं ऐसे दुनिया में who look at Sikkim's integration into India as annexation of Sikkim into India. And as an independent sovereign nation का ये फीचर है to get new territories into the country. Yes, so by war also we can occupy certain territory and bring it to become part of India, or otherwise by signing certain treaties and agreements we can accept foreign territories to become part of India. So territory ka addition is not a problem, territory coming out is a problem. But even then there is, है ना, पाकिस्तान का भी तो partition हो जाता है कई बार. फेडरेशन है but there can be partitioning of the country also. Yes, in fact it was predicted that India will undergo disintegration, but logically they do not have constitutional right to secede. है ना. अब वो डिमांड करके एजिटेशन करके पार्टीशन कर लिया तो अलग बात है, बट दे डू नॉट हैव, देयर इज नो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट टू सेसीड, टू कम आउट ऑफ द यूनियन. फाइन. Yes, Anubhav says, ma'am, but why it is not called Bharat, that is India. है ना. ये सिर्फ पॉलिटिकल डिबेट है, इसको अभी नहीं यहाँ पे वो करेंगे हम, है ना. इंडिया दैट इज भारत की जगह भारत दैट इज इंडिया. जो बाकी जो मुद्दों की बात है उस पर रादर फोकस ऑन दैट रादर देन ऑन नॉमेनक्लेचर. ठीक है. फाइन. तो अभी इसका एविडेंसेस क्या है कि वी हैव स्ट्रॉन्ग सेंटर. व्हाट आर द एविडेंसेस दैट इंडिया इन फैक्ट हैज अ स्ट्रॉन्ग सेंटर? हाँ. फर्स्ट first evidence would be schedule 7 schedule 7 of the Indian Constitution. Yes, which comes out with division of power between center and state, and it has the union list, state list, concurrent list. Yes, so there are more number of subjects in the union list, and they are more important also, relatively more important. Plus इस list में जो subjects है वो increase हुए हैं over the period of time. State list, fewer subjects. Are you writing along with me? We can, है ना, we can go on writing. चलो साथ ही लिखते हैं, है ना. As we discuss, you can write. Yes. Yes, the online students also, I hope you'll be able to manage. We'll go slow. Yes, we'll discuss it slowly so that you are able to write. Write down. Evidence, first evidence क्या है? Schedule 7 of the Indian Constitution. Yes. Which talks about, yeah, है ना, you put a hyphen, division of power between center and state. It enlists union list, state list and concurrent list. Yes, so union list has more subjects as well as more important subjects. State list has fewer subjects. And as far as concurrent list is concerned, both center and state have power to legislate. Both center and state have power to legislate on the subjects listed in concurrent list. Both center and state have power to legislate on subjects listed under concurrent list. Listed under concurrent list. Full stop. However, in case of conflict, between center and state laws, on a particular subject, comma, central law will prevail. ठीक है, तो ये भी दिखा रहा है. एक तो इसमें ज्यादा सब्जेक्ट्स है, ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट्स हैं. दूसरा, इन केस ऑफ अ कंफ्लिक्ट बिटवीन सेंटर एंड स्टेट ओवर अ पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट, the central law will prevail. Yes, this shows that greater power to the center. इसके अलावा क्या है? Yes, second point होगा residuary power. Yes, residuary powers. Residuary power का मतलब क्या होता है? Subjects which are not mentioned in either of the three lists on those subjects the power to legislate has been given to the center. ठीक है, लेकिन यूएस में क्या है, रेसिडुअरी पावर इज गिवन टू द स्टेट्स, बट इन केस ऑफ इंडिया द रेसिडुअरी पावर इज गिवन टू द सेंटर. लिखो रेसिडुअरी पावर के अंडर लिखो ऑन सब्जेक्ट्स which are not listed in any of the above three lists, which are not listed in any of the above three lists, comma, the power to legislate on those subjects have been given to the center. Have been given to the center. Yes. उसके अलावा बताओ. Yes, single constitution, single citizenship लिखो. Third, single constitution. Fourth, single citizenship. Yes, what else? लिखो the governor who is the constitutional head, of the state is appointed by the states, by the center. Yes. Third लिखो, Sahil is also talking about it. Write down next point. Sixth point है ना ये, sixth point है all India services. लिखो इसमें है ना, ऑल इंडिया सर्विसेज में है ना, ये IAS and IPS, though they spend majority of their tenure in the states, but they are appointed by the center. The power to discipline them is also with the center. Yes, write down. IAS and IPS, though spend majority of their tenure in the states, comma, they are appointed by the center. Also the power to discipline them lies with the center. Yes. Then Ritik Pandey talks about emergency power. Write down next. Seventh point is emergency power. है ना, emergency powers. Emergency powers क्या है? Constitution has enlisted three types of emergency. एक है national emergency, state emergency या financial emergency. Yes. So state emergency is also known as President's rule. So in Article 356 है ना, talks about state emergency. 352 talks about national emergency. अभी नहीं जा रहे articles में. Fine. So you have you find that there is emergency provision mentioned under the Constitution, and whenever, for example, national emergency is declared, the federal form of the government gets converted into unitary form of government. Yes, write down emergency provisions में लिखो. When it is imposed the federal form of government gets converted gets converted into unitary form of government. Yes, what else? ठीक है, तो Akarsheth says constitutional amendment power only with the union. देखो सिंगल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को अमेंड का पावर है ना, वुड बी विद द यूनियन, बट यस स्टेट ऑल्सो डू नॉट हैव पावर टू इनिशिएट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एज सच. उनके पास कोई पावर नहीं है विज़-अ-वी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एक्सेप्ट व्हेन दे डिमांड से एस्टैब्लिशमेंट ऑफ स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल. उसके लिए भी वो बस रेजोल्यूशन पास करके सेंटर को बताते, देन सेंटर ब्रिंग्स अबाउट अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट एज सच. यस, सो दैट इज देयर, बट ठीक है अभी इसको नहीं मेंशन करेंगे. अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया. इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया हु इज ऑल्सो रेस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर इलेक्शंस एट द स्टेट लेवल. सिर्फ सेंट्रल लेवल पे इलेक्शन नहीं कराते, वो स्टेट लेवल पे भी कराते हैं. यस, तो इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया कंडक्ट्स इलेक्शन फॉर द प्रेसिडेंट, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट, MPs as well as MLAs, but still then the power to appointment of election commission of India lies with the center. अच्छा, territorial integrity of the state is not guaranteed. Yes, ये आपने लिखा है, हमने लिखा है क्या? लिखो, ये भी एक है important point. Territorial integrity of the states. Territorial integrity of the states is not guaranteed under the Indian Constitution. Yes, write down the central government. The central government can alter the name, comma, the territorial area, etc., of the states through a simple majority, yes. Also their consent is not always necessary. Even without their consent of the states, the central government using simple majority can alter the boundary, can take a part of a state, integrate with another state. Yes, so the territorial integrity of the states is not guaranteed under the Indian Constitution. Fine, and this is mentioned under Article 3. In bracket you can write down Article 3. Article 3 of the Indian Constitution. Article 3. What is the difference between resident and citizen? क्या difference है? I am living in this country but I am not a citizen. I don't get voting rights. है ना, सबसे important indicator है citizenship का, you get voting rights. And you have access to a lot of services and you are obliged also to perform certain duties for the state that might not be necessary. You are just living but you are not the citizen. And a diaspora, NRIs, and they are often, they might acquire citizenship, but often is the case that they do not acquire the citizenship. They are just there to work and then they come back to their home country. Visas pe jo jate hain. Fine. Anything else? Fine, so these are some of the provisions as far as having a strong center is concerned. So India is a federation with a strong center. Now, but it has led to criticism of India's model of federation, whereby India's model of federation has been termed as quasi फेडरेशन या क्वासी फेडरल मॉडल. यस, राइट डाउन. Yes. Write down. Because India has adopted the model of federation with a strong center. The model of federation with a strong center. Comma, it is often criticized as a quasi federal state. Yes. Now give a small subhead. Is it right? Is it correct to consider India as a quasi federal state? As a quasi federation? Is it right to consider India as a quasi federation? Yes or no? See, we say that it is not correct to call India quasi-federation. In fact, certain scholars have said that this concept of quasi-federation itself is wrong. A country is a federal or not a federal country. There is nothing known as quasi-federation. Quasi-federation is like you are not a true federation. Yes, you are a proxy federation or somewhere in between you are a federal form of government. तो स्कॉलर्स ने कहा है कि ऐसा है ही नहीं. या तो फेडरल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट होगे या फेडरल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट नहीं होगे. देर कैन नॉट बी एनी कंफ्यूजन कि यू आर क्वासी फेडरल. व्हाई? बिकॉज वी से फेडरेशन एज सच इज अ वेरी डायनेमिक कंसेप्ट. यस, एंड यू कैनॉट से that there is only one model of federation. Those who call India quasi-federal have US model in mind. Just because US was the first country which adopted a federal form of government does not make it the ideal model to be adopted by all the countries in the world. Yes, so it is not correct to call India quasi-federal. And as we have discussed that it is a dynamic concept. In fact, when it comes to US itself, you find the model of federation has changed, has evolved. First, when it started as dual polity, when there was strict compartmentalization of role between center and state, and the state was not overly powerful. In fact, residuary power वगैरह अधिकतर power state के पास थे. But over the period of time, the center in case of US has become more powerful. Why? Because as US role in the global affairs increased, center came to acquire more power. In fact, their president has referred it to as a new federation. Roosevelt थे उस समय, and he called it a new federation. कुछ ऐसे acts वगैरह उन्होंने adopt किए थे because of growing role of US at the global level. That center came to acquire more power, and it has been referred to as new federation. So federation as such is a dynamic concept. है ना? क्या हो रहा है? क्वासी फेडरल वो बुला रहे हैं जिनके पास यूएस मॉडल इन माइंड है, तो जरूरी नहीं है सब वो रेप्लिकेट करें. दूसरा, in fact we need to appreciate Indian model of federation because it is sui generis. It has been created according to Indian needs. Yes, in fact US में क्या है? 2 level of federation है, but in case of India today we have a constitutional division of power even at local level. Yes. Dusra, we are also an example of what is known as asymmetrical federation. Asymmetrical federation का मतलब क्या है? We have not just divided power between center and state and stopped at it. We are also cognizant of the various regional diversity, other regional diversity other than state. Within state, there can be diversity. Yes, so Indian state gives special powers to tribal areas. है ना, ट्राइबल एरियाज में भी उसको हम डिस्टिंग्विश करते हैं. नॉर्थ ईस्ट का ट्राइबल एरिया है या ट्राइबल एरिया ऑफ रेस्ट ऑफ इंडिया है. Yes, northeastern tribals are given greater autonomy than tribals of rest of the country. And tribals in general enjoy more autonomy than the population within the states. Yes, so you have schedule 5 and 6. Also in the constitution we have for certain states. Yes, under article 371 है ना, you have नागालैंड है, विदर्भा है, है ना, असम में जैसे बोडोलैंड में यू हैव एन ऑटोनमस टेरिटरी, है ना, ऑटोनमस काउंसिल क्रिएटेड. सो यू फाइंड दैट इन डिफरेंट स्टेट्स we have made a provision for special powers. So we recognize diversity, we recognize the right of self-determination, not just at the state level. Rather, we are willing to recognize further diversity within our population and give them greater right of self-determination through such provisions. Yes? Fine. So because of all this, it would not be correct to term India as a quasi-federation. Rather, we need to appreciate the Indian model of federation. It is sui generis. It has been adopted according to Indian needs. It has been very, very successful in ensuring unity and territorial integrity of India. India has survived as a country because of its unique model of federation, where we have been willing to readjust our federation according to the demand of the people. It gives us flexibility. It gave us flexibility for linguistic reorganization of the state when the need arose. Yes, it gives us the opportunity to give right of self-determination at local level. We are a federal model whereby third tier pe bhi federal distribution of power has been achieved by giving constitutional status to PRIs and ULBs. So it would not be correct to term India as a quasi-federal state. We are a true federation. Yes, we are just as much a federation as US is or other countries are. We have adopted a model which suits Indian interests and needs. दे आर नॉट अपॉइंटेड बाय, अब तो कोलिजियम सिस्टम के थ्रू होता है. और इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ जुडिशरी में तो देखो, इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ जुडिशरी के तो बहुत सारे फीचर्स हैं. देयर एक्सपेंसेस आर चार्ज्ड, दे हैव अ फिक्स्ड टेन्योर. आज तक कोई जज तो रिमूव नहीं हो पाया, है ना. सिक्योरिटी ऑफ टेन्योर. इनफैक्ट वी फुलफिल ऑल दीज एसेंशियल फीचर्स. कोई भी एसेंशियल फीचर नहीं है जो इंडिया फुलफिल नहीं कर रहा है. No, if you go deeper only then you can say so. If you are looking ऐसे ही एक पॉइंट उठा के आपने देखा तब आपको लगेगा कि we are not following. Otherwise, if you look from a deeper perspective, in fact appointment of judiciary में हम उसको criticize करते हैं. उन्होंने concentrate कर लिया है power अपने आप में. Bicameralism also. That cannot be given because we have to understand they are indirectly elected. See, every country following the same model is not necessary. It is not about the difficulty, it is not advisable. देखो, जॉइंट सिटिंग का पर्पस वाज नॉट टू बाईपास राज्यसभा, वही मैंने लास्ट क्लास में भी बताया था, है ना. जॉइंट सिटिंग का पर्पस क्या है कि जो आपके डिफरेंसेस है उसको आप खत्म करो, है ना. यू गो फॉर रीजनड आर्ग्यूमेंट सो दैट यू आर एबल टू कन्विंस, या तो यू गेट कन्विंस्ड और यू कन्विंस द अदर. द पर्पस, सी व्हेन वी अडॉप्टेड डेमोक्रेसी एज अ मॉडल, तो ऐसे तो हम डेमोक्रेसी को भी क्रिटिसाइज कर ले कि डेमोक्रेसी फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट इज अ मेजोरिटेरियन फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट. इंडिया वी हैव अ मेजोरिटी कम्युनिटी. हमेशा वही कम्युनिटी विल गेट अ राइट टू इलेक्ट द गवर्नमेंट. उनका जो मन होगा वही उसी को पावर में लेकर आएंगे ना. थियोरेटिकली स्पीकिंग तो यही है कि देखा जाए, अगर डेमोक्रेसी अडॉप्ट किया है, डेमोक्रेसी में भी फर्स्ट पास द पोस्ट सिस्टम, प्रोपोर्शनल रिप्रेजेंटेशन भी नहीं किया. इसमें क्या होगा, इन अ कॉन्स्टिट्युएंसी विच एवर कम्युनिटी इज इन मेजोरिटी नंबर, इज इन न्यूमेरिकल मेजोरिटी, विल गेट द राइट टू चूज देयर गवर्नमेंट. तो फिर कह दे कि हम तो लिबरल डेमोक्रेसी वगैरह छोड़ो, हम वी आर अ मेजोरिटेरियन स्टेट. यस, तो ऐसा नहीं है. देखो अभी क्या है एसेंशियल फीचर्स. पहला फीचर था हमारा डुअल पॉलिटी, सेंटर एंड स्टेट में डिविजन ऑफ पावर, है ना, जो है. सेंटर कैन नॉट सडनली, है ना. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया में एक प्रोविजन है, एक आर्टिकल है विच सेज, ऐसे तो देयर इज डिविजन ऑफ पावर, यूनियन लिस्ट, स्टेट लिस्ट, कंकरेंट लिस्ट, but there is one article 240 या 250 247 I think so, which says that in case Rajya Sabha passes a resolution by 2/3 majority of the members, it can pass a subject which is mentioned in the state list to the union government for 1 year. 249 है ठीक है. तो to the union for a year, फाइन. तो इस तरह के प्रोविजंस है. बट एज सच देखा जाए तो डुअल पॉलिटी है, डिविजन ऑफ पावर है ना, ऐसा है. स्टेट अपने हिसाब से लेजिस्लेट करता है, सेंटर अपने हिसाब से लेजिस्लेट करता है ऑन द सब्जेक्ट्स अंडर देयर कंट्रोल. देन वी हैव अ रिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. वी हैव सफिशिएंटली रिजिड, कंप्लीटली रिजिड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वुड नॉट वर्क इन इंडियाज केस, है ना. हमारा तो ये अच्छी बात है कि वी हैव अ मिक्स ऑफ फ्लेक्सिबल एंड रिजिडिटी, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी एंड रिजिडिटी. So we also have rigidity of the constitution as such, and it is not like UK. What else? We have an independent arbitrator. Judiciary has been acting as an independent arbitrator for federal dispute and bicameralism. We in fact say that we satisfy all the essential features. So if you do not get into nitty-gritties, which is not essential, that is क्या है किसी एक कंट्री, they got independence very soon. They had the privilege to adopt such a model. India got independence much later, 2 centuries later we got, है ना, near about our independence. So we cannot expect to create something very new model of federation. Yes, so we are going to adopt a federal form of government, but it will be suitable to our needs, suitable to our circumstances, है ना. हम यूएस को फॉलो करें, यूएस में ऐसा सेनेट में हर स्टेट 2 मेंबर्स ही भेजता है. यहाँ पे वो नहीं हो सकता. यहाँ पे इतना डिफरेंस है इन पॉपुलेशन. प्लस वी हैव टू रिमेंबर हाउ वाज द इंडियन स्टेट्स क्रिएटेड, हाउ वर द स्टेट्स इन यूएस क्रिएटेड. यूएस में स्टेट्स पहले थे, तो यूएस में स्टेट्स को अधिकतर पावर दिया गया क्योंकि स्टेट वर द वन हु वर गिविंग पावर टू द सेंटर. यहाँ पे क्या था, सेंटर था, सेंटर वाज गिविंग पावर टू द स्टेट्स. यस, सो वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि हम भी पहले तो अलग मॉडल ऑफ फेडरेशन अडॉप्ट करने वाले थे. अपॉन पार्टीशन वी अडॉप्टेड दिस मॉडल ऑफ फेडरेशन. We cannot say that we do not satisfy. We in fact satisfy all the essential features. Ab yes, we do not have separate constitution for the state. We have an integrated judiciary. है ना, ये सब examples. Integrated judiciary can also be an example of a concentration of power in the hands of the center. So there are of course such powers. Even with executive decision making, there is more power with the center. लेकिन अब that does not mean that we are not a federation, because in fact we satisfy all the essential conditions, all the 5 essential conditions of being a federal form of government. ठीक है. चलो लिखो. Yes, you have not, have you written something? नहीं, लिखो. So you have written, is it correct to consider India as a quasi-federal? लिखो, those who consider India as a quasi-federal या as a quasi-federation, have US model in mind. Have US model in mind. Have US model in mind. Full stop. However, it is not necessary. However, it is not necessary nor advisable. Nor advisable for a country or for every country to follow the US model. To follow the US model just because it was the first federation in the world. Yes, in points, first point लिखो. Yeah, तो before writing the first point, write down. Before writing the first point, write down. India has adopted a sui generis model of federation. Sui generis model of federation. Underline sui generis model, which satisfies Indian needs. Yes. अब लिखो in points. First point, federation is a dynamic concept. Underline, put a hyphen, write down. Even the US model of federation has evolved from being a dual polity to becoming a new federation. With more power given to the center with rising role of US in global affairs. Yes. सेकेंड एग्जाम्पल इसी में लिखो. डायनेमिक कंसेप्ट में एक तो हमने यूएस का एग्जाम्पल लिखा और हम दूसरा एग्जाम्पल इनफैक्ट इंडिया का ही दे सकते हैं. इंडियन मॉडल ऑफ फेडरेशन हैज ऑल्सो इवॉल्व्ड विथ टाइम. So when India got independence, there was one party system. Yes, so you find that the federal axis or the center was more strong. But over the period of time, as coalition governments have come to be, so the regional parties or the state governments have got greater say even with respect to national policies. For example, in international relation, and foreign policy is the sole domain of the center. But today what has happened? For example, the government in West Bengal has stopped India from signing a river water sharing agreement with Bangladesh. Yes? So we find that as the party system has evolved, as India became a coalition form of government started emerging at the center, this role of the regional parties have increased. Then the role of the state have increased. Power of the state has increased. लिखो. Yes, इसी में next sub point लिखो. Even in case of India, even in case of India, the concept of federation has evolved. The concept of federation has evolved. Has evolved. Full stop. With emergence of coalition politics at the center, with emergence of coalition politics at the center, comma, increasing role of the state can be seen, of the states can be seen. Yes, इसी में लिखो एक और कंसेप्ट आई एम इंट्रोड्यूसिंग, इसी में एक एग्जांपल लिखो. In fact, when different political parties are in power in the state and in the center, yes, comma, cooperative federalism at times transforms into bargaining federalism. Transforms into bargaining, at times transform into bargaining federalism. ठीक है, तो ये भी हम कहते हैं कि जब ऐसा होता है कि different political parties are in center and state, it is not that center is able to get what it wants. At times it has to really bargain. That ये है ना, coalition politics में भी, है ना, politics में भी you find cooperative federalism transforming into bargaining. वही है कि the state power या state parties का power increase. Yes, the bargaining capacity of the state increases. Fine. Fine, there is a general question that students are asking. Ma'am, is federation a characteristic of a democracy? Is it essential for a democracy to be a federal form of government? तो फिर what about UK? इसका मतलब UK में तो democracy ही नहीं है, जापान में democracy ही नहीं है ना? So it is not necessary. Yes, a democracy can adopt different forms of government. Democracy can be parliamentary, can be presidential, can be federal, can be unitary, है ना? तो ये अलग अलग फॉर्म्स है, सब डेमोक्रेसी में आ सकता है. डेमोक्रेसी इज गवर्नमेंट ऑफ बाय एंड फॉर द पीपल. फाइन, सो दैट इज व्हाट. फिर एक और अभिनव सेज he has defined quasi federation. ठीक है, वो कहता है कि quasi federation means a federal form of government where more power is given to the central government than the state government. नहीं, please do not come out with your own definitions. ठीक है, ये definition नहीं है quasi federation का. quasi federation, quasi का मतलब क्या है? proxy, जो real नहीं है ना, सीमिंगली लग रहा है वो फेडरेशन है लेकिन वो फेडरेशन नहीं है, उसको बोलते हैं क्वासी. क्वासी इज एन इंग्लिश टर्म, है ना. कोई क्वासी फेडरेशन कोई एक टाइप ऑफ फेडरेशन नहीं है. सो प्लीज डू नॉट डू दैट एंड डू नॉट गेट कंफ्यूज्ड. क्वासी मीन्स विच इज नॉट ट्रू. सो they are actually saying India is not a true federation because there is concentration of power in the center, which we are saying is not an essential, and it is not true. We are a federation, we are very much a federation. We have just adopted a federation meeting our own needs. तो एक तो ये हो गया कि federation is a dynamic concept. Second point लिखो, second major point. First you have mentioned dynamic concept. Second point, write down. Write down. India has adopted a federal model suitable to its own needs. Suitable to its own needs. Yes. Suitable to its own needs. इसमें लिखो asymmetrical federalism. Asymmetrical federalism. Asymmetrical federalism. Write down under asymmetrical federalism. It means the federal units. It means the federal units are treated differently to accommodate their special needs and aspirations. For example, special needs and aspirations. Aspirations matlab aims. Yes, full stop. For example, in case of India, in sub points likho, है ना. First example, special powers to the tribal regions, put a hyphen, through schedule 5 and 6, of the constitution. Second subpoint, Article 371 in 371 in bracket A to J, A in caps and J also in capital. Yes, put a hyphen. They provide special power to specific regions within the state. They provide special power to specific regions within the state. Yes, etc. Yes, so in fact we have gone for asymmetrical federation, which is uniqueness of Indian federal model. फिर third point लिखो, third major point है ना. सुई जेनरिस कर लिया है ना, डायनेमिक कंसेप्ट कर लिया. थर्ड मेजर पॉइंट राइट डाउन. India has given constitutional status, has given constitutional status, constitutional status to the PRIs, to the Panchayati Raj institutions and urban local bodies, and urban local bodies, urban local bodies. Urban local bodies. In fact, India through constitutional amendments has ensured federal distribution of power, federal distribution of power, federal distribution of power to the PRIs, या federal distribution of power to the local level government कर दो सीधा, to the local level government, to the local level government, full stop. Yes. Now write down as conclusion we are writing, thus it would be incorrect to term India या to call India a quasi federation. Full stop. Rather the Indian model of federation, is an example of the ingenuity या genius है ना, innovation, ingenuity, INGENUITY, ingenuity मतलब है ना wisdom of the Indian constitution makers. Yes, while meeting India's special requirements, comma, the flexibility in Indian federation, for example, to create new states, comma, alter their boundaries, has made it possible for India to accommodate the ethno-national movements, to accommodate the ethno, ETHNO, put a small hyphen, national, ethno-national movements. Ethno-national movements क्या है? यही movements for linguistic reorganization, for greater autonomy for the Bodo people, है ना? You have these movements and we have been able to accommodate them because of the flexibility present in the model of Indian federation. For example, Indian center, and the central government can create new state, can carve out and a new states, alter the boundaries, etc. Yes, full stop likho. It has been responsible. It has been responsible. It has been responsible for unity and integrity of India. For unity and integrity of India. Fine. Fine. So this is with respect to the federation, and with this we complete our discussion on this topic of federation. अच्छा, अभिनव का एक डाउट है, इफ यू वांट यू कैन लिसन. ये जनरल डाउट है. आधार कार्ड है तो आप सिटीजन हो क्या इंडिया के? इफ यू हैव आधार, तो वही है. देयर इज अ डिफरेंस ना. आधार कार्ड इज identity card for every resident of India. It is not a mark of your citizenship. Fine. So that is it. अभी सिर्फ एक ही क्लास बची है हमारी. कल है ना, tomorrow will be our last class and we'll be covering the amendment process as well as urban local governments. Yeah, PRIs cover करेंगे actually. Urban local नहीं, PRIs cover करेंगे, and the amendment process. With that we'll be concluding our discussion as far as polity in pre-foundation is concerned. Fine. Thank you.